Hi, my name is Katie. I like comics, and I don't think the Grand Skull is actually James Buchanan Barnes. I am, of course, talking about the current Ultimate Universe of 6160, and all of my evidence comes from Ultimates issue 10 and Ultimate Invasion issue 2. You can see here on the third line that James Buchanan Barnes is deceased, his artifact being a blood sample. Well, if that wasn't actually Bucky, who was it? And I have two possible theories for who it was. My first theory is this is a Bucky clone. The Maker, as I stated, has a blood sample from Bucky, and when Jim scans the Grand Skull, he doesn't note anything like a cybernetic arm. Also, going back to this list, Steve Rogers is mentioned as being undefined. This is because he was not frozen in the location the Maker thought he would be in, but he did not want to state he was dead. This, to me, means definitively the Maker has seen Bucky's corpse. Quick aside, the reason why I think the Maker killed Bucky is because he actually views Bucky as a larger threat than Steve, probably because he would hesitate way less to kill him, but keeping him alive doesn't have much reward to it as opposed to keeping someone like the Hulk or Stephen Strange alive. Now, another thing that points to this possibly being a Bucky clone is his height is very similar to comic book Bucky. As 5'8", comic Bucky full grown is 5'9", but the Grand Skull is 73 years old. He could have gotten a little shorter. Now, what theory do I actually think is stronger? I think this is Jack Monroe, and we're gonna go back to that image for a third time. Because if you look under Robert Grayson, you see Jack Monroe inactive. Jack Monroe is the Bucky from the 1950s who was manipulated into believing he was the real Bucky. Even after he had been convinced that he was not Bucky and he had remembered his true identity, for the rest of his life he did have issues with reality, part of this being from the dose of the super soldier serum he received, which degraded his mind. Now in 616, Jack Monroe has been dead for 20 years. He was killed by the Winter Soldier, who assassinated him as one of his last acts before Bucky Barnes had his mind restored. And in that same location where we've seen the threat level the Maker has assigned to everyone, Jack Monroe's actually a level 3, meaning he's going to be far more manageable than Bucky, who's at a 5. His age also lines up much better than the clone theory, because while he would technically be 83 years old, Jack Monroe has been put in suspended animation in canon before, meaning if he was in suspended animation for 10 years, he would currently be 73. And cards on the table, Bucky Barnes is my favorite comic book character. This could totally be him, I could totally be coping, but Dennis Camp has brought characters back who haven't been used in decades before. I would not be shocked if he had brought Jack Monroe back like this.